Who said that? Oh, yeah, yeah, Madison. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, circle. You know, when instructors do what they can to make the class somewhat interesting, but my experience, and it's just my experience and my perspective, and I'm probably completely wrong. When you're like a new or an incompetent instructor, you create group activities. You know, let's sit in a circle and we're going to give you an exercise. And you guys figure it out. Really? Why? Or let's watch a movie. Why? I mean, you're the instructor. Act.
Instruct.
Like Rambo. Yeah. Well, you know, Mel Gibson is coming out with a brand new movie, The Hunt. For those of you who like, you know, blood and gore. And, yeah, it's good stuff. Hello, Mia. How are you? Good. How's your mom? What's she doing these days? Yeah, well, it takes a while. And she's not 20 anymore. She's like 60? Yeah. Where is she going? Oh, that's not bad.
Her one room, she has like 2 bedrooms, but one of her rooms are a closet. It's a closet. And she has another closet in her room. She has a closet in the hallway. But it's all closed. So you better donate. Too much stuff. It's freezing.
Well, you know, you could sit closer to people.
We just got that analogy. She has an apartment, and she has someone to stay on the left, on the right.
Yeah, I'll turn the heat on till like way later.
So she'll never have to turn on her heater. Because
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, nice.
that works. Everybody.
So everybody else goes out of town, you know, we got.
Yeah, that's all right. I got heaters.
So,
How are you doing, Madison?
Good. It's cold.
You know, you could sit close to someone.
No, I'm good. Thanks. Oh, also,
Allahu
if you guys are
Akbar.
interested, the Wellness Center is having an event on tomorrow from 2 to 5. It's like called Cozy Falls, and we're having a hot chocolate bar. If y'all are interested.
Where is this?
Wellness Center, 2nd floor of the tower.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, I also
Is it like-
have some marshmallows for tomorrow. I got mini maple flavored marshmallows. They're gluten-free and vegan.
Yes.
So, do they reimburse you for that?
No, but
Are you kidding?
there's a lot of people who are gluten-free and vegan, so I wanted to get them.
With all the money floating around and being wasted on stuff, they can't even give you like $10?
No, it's fine.
Jeez, no, it's not fine. You know, it's not fine, really.
You know what they should do? They should pay me for getting up early Thursday. I should get paid for the full day.
They're paying you?
I hope so.
Jeez.
Not no.
Yeah. So is there anything you guys want to talk about before we go home? Leah?
How do you deal with people existing independently of yourself? Like just coming to the realization that you don't have control over other people and that they can do what they want.
and that impacts you. What is your question?
How do you, I guess, just, I guess how do you just deal with not having much control in other people?
Do you know who this guy is? He's Indian. He looks a little funny. His name is Sadhguru. He was married, worked for the government. One day he's like walking around town and he has an experience of sorts. And he says, I don't want to be married anymore, and I don't want to go home, and I don't have a daughter. And so he just goes into the mountains and meditates and comes back down and begins to preach. Hello, how are you, Lavelle? And begins to and he's well known now. You know, he's got a lot of followers.
Guru?
Yeah, he's a guru.
That's the person.
Yeah, he's a guru. He's like a disease. I mean, but since you like him, he's like less of a disease. But there is this guy who's number 4 in the chess world. He's this 18-year-old Indian kid. And he goes to him, this Indian kid, chess player, and says, so Sadhguru, you know, whenever I play chess, I become anxious. Is there a way to control that? And he kind of looks at this kid, this 70-year-old man, and says, well, you know, it's madness, isn't it? What can this 18-year-old kid say? It's madness? Yeah, it's madness. I mean, who cares if you win or lose? Now that's a very stupid response. Hello. And the reason is, you know, hello. Oh, look, your hair looks good. Yeah, good job. And so, you know, you're in a competitive space. You have no idea if you're going to beat this guy or this guy's going to beat you. You know, as a good chess player, you have to think like 50 moves ahead. So there's a lot of anxiety there. And I think if I was to put your question within the context of playing chess, you know, I think you should have inside you a few pieces, a king, a queen, bishop, you know, all those things, and make sure that you are never checked, and make sure you're never certainly checkmated. And which means the following. Look around this room, Leah. There are some people you don't like. I'm not going to have you name names, even though you really want to, but it's best not to. So what do? Do you exchange numbers with them? Of course not. Do you look at them? No. Do you listen to them when they talk? No. And I think when you step outside the classroom, you should exercise the same thing. Now, let's just say you go home and you have a brother or a sister, or you have a roommate that you don't like, but you can't kick him out. If you have no power in life, you're going to be pushed around. And ultimately, that's the bottom line. The only way you can have enough power to make sure that no harm comes to you physically or emotionally, that's all you can do. Sometimes you just get pushed around by your own emotions, by the past experiences. So there are exercises, you know. You listen to Sadhguru and he says, you know, sit and just close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, and say Coca-Cola 50 times. And it'll go away, hopefully. It's not going to work for you. I mean, look at Queen for a moment. This is not about you, really. She's no longer 20, you know. And that's another difficult that we as human beings have. You know, you make all these choices and you think they're relatively okay. Time passes, you get to be 30 or 40 or 50. You look back and you say, man, that was really stupid. You know, it's no fun. I mean, it may be that she's enjoying sitting in this class and other classes, but the truth is she has her days where she sits back and she says, you know, I should have been done with this thing like long, long time ago. You know, and the moment you kind of begin to doubt yourself, you lose power. And your kid comes and says, Mom, where is lunch? But you're frustrated because you think about your life and it's a complete mess. And your daughter, your son, really, they have committed no crime, but you scream at them simply because you yourself as a parent or as whatever, you made some errors in life. So, and the nice thing about Queen is that she began to understand a few things. Now she's back in school. You know, she'll pass her classes. She'll get a step closer to going to 4-year school that will give her more power. Once she graduates from that, you know, she has a bachelor's or a master's degree. Now she can walk into the world, you know, and choose her path very, very carefully. And she'll make a good amount of money. And then she'll move out of Oakland. You know, she'll move to Piedmont or Montclair, you know. That's the only thing, Leo. You just need power in life. Just power. And there are moments where no matter how much power you got, I mean, look at Trump. He has got a lot of power, but the Epstein file, every time that comes up, he loses power. So what does he do? You know, he gets angry, he becomes combative, and it doesn't really matter who you are, what you are. At a certain point, life is going to deliver events to you that, despite all the power you may have amassed, it goes nowhere. You can't use it. So just do the best you can. You know, if you don't want to get hurt, don't get emotionally involved with people. And if you do want to get emotionally involved, just wait and wait and wait and wait, test them, examine them, drive them for a long, long time. And when you realize they're relatively decent, then become emotionally entangled, if you can. I mean, imagine you have a test tomorrow, but your friends call and say, let's go hang out, and you say, okay, because studying for a test is tough. So the day passes by, you wake up at 6 in the morning, you walk into your chemistry class, the questions come your way, and you don't have any answers to any of the questions. You feel angry, you feel frustrated, anxious, and, you know, it's a dreadful place to be. No power. Your graduation is going to be delayed by a semester or so. So that's what it really boils down to. Power, 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 power. On Sunday, I went out by myself. I went to a bakery shop and I got myself an almond croissant. I didn't want to get it, but I had no power over the almond croissant. He kept looking at me and winking at me. You know, buy me, touch me, eat me. I said, you know what, I'm just here for bread. I couldn't resist. I'm not Jesus Christ, so I fell to temptation. You know, and as I was driving back home, I looked at the croissant. It started winking at me. I kid you not, like real winking. I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to like touch you with my pinky, but I'm not going to like grab you. And that was it, that touch. I fell from the Garden of Eden, you know, and the touch became a grab. And I said, no, I'm just going to go like this, you know. And then before you know it, my elbow bent. And I devoured that croissant in like a second, like a pig. As I'm driving home, I'm saying all that butter, all that sugar, you know, I'm just going to like have a stroke and die. And, you know, the pleasure of having that croissant lasted for 5 minutes. You know, the fear of croaking while driving, that was the entire day. It's still with me today. So what I did was I said, you know, to kind of combat that, I have to go for a walk. Usually I walk for 45 minutes to an hour. For the past few days, I've been walking for 3 hours. No power. No power creates fear. Fear creates anxiety. And your entire life is uprooted. My wife says, let's go out for dinner. I said, no, I'm going to walk. Kids say, you know, let's go and play basketball. No, I'm going to walk. And all of a sudden you realize, you know. So the point is power. Don't hang out with people if they suck the power out of you, unless, you have no choice but to be around them. And if you're around them, just be ready for the tornado to come your way. Do the best you can. I don't know anything else. Oh. Before we get to Leah again, listen, for those of you who are looking at your grades and you feel like you're not passing the class, just turn them in. This is a stupid class. And all the classes you're taking are quite stupid. What you need is power. Pass these classes, get yourself to a 4-year school. Christ. Yes, Leah.
Well, on the subject of private schools, I'm writing my transfer application, and one of the schools has a comp that I've been struggling with. So this school has a specific week, and they call it Paideia Week. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. But how it works is that they uproot the traditional structure of schools, and the students teach classes about anything. And so the prompt is that if you could teach a class at their college, what would it be and why? And I started these applications in the summer, but
Okay.
this is the one that I
Do you like the school?
did.
Is there a name to this school?
Reed College.
Is that a good school? Oh, Reed College. Yeah, I've heard about it. Will they pay for your education? Okay. Now, Reed College, Stanford, Oxford, Yale, these are highly competitive schools. Out of 100 people who apply, 0 get in. Or maybe -1. Okay. So this is what you need to do. You ready? Hello. You ready? It's good to see you.
I'll be right back.
For all of us? Just kidding. I understand. There are 2 very, very important powerhouses that live inside us. Well, 3, but in this case, let's just focus on the 2. To not make it so philosophical, there is the mind, and then there is the emotion. If you want someone to like you, do you appeal to their intellect or their emotions? Leah? Do you want to think about Plato or do you want to feel Plato? If you were to talk about racism, do you want to think about racism or feel racism? Do you like it when a white guy or a yellow guy or a red guy or a blue guy talks about what it means to be black in a very intellectual, mental way? Or does that offend you? The point I'm trying to make, Leah, is the following. You're going to write a letter, and a committee of 20 people are going to sit back and read it. How many letters are they going to read that day? 100. Somehow you got to stand out. Okay? Now, after a while, you're going to get bored reading letter after letter after letter. Your mind is going to be exhausted. And the truth is, people say the same goddamn thing day after day after day. Then you get a letter of interest. And you realize this person is writing a really, really strange set of ideas. When I was 2, A, B, C, D happened. And when I was 5, E, F, G, H happened. And you know what you're doing? You're pulling the reader inside your world. Not just having them think about you or your life, but not only are they thinking, but most importantly, they are feeling. Hello. And you know what happens when you walk home and you think about Joe? And then you wake up and you think about Joe. And when you go to sleep, you think about Joe. Because Joe is now living inside your emotional space. Now, here's what you need to do. And I don't know if you're ready to do that, but this is what you got to do. Either write a very honest letter or make something up through your imagination. An episode that happened in your life that completely shattered you. You were down, you were out, depressed, you were suicidal. The lights were off 24/7. You had no friends. Now that's an attention grabber, isn't it? And you cried, and you walked in the cemetery. Just make shit up, you know? And then your mom tried to help you, but you were unreachable. Your grandparents came to you from the grave, but they realized they can't reach you either. Hello. And then one day, you were walking around the lake, and you saw this homeless person. And they looked at you and they said, "Your name is Leah." Whoa, how do you know? It's just on your forehead. You take out your mirror, you look at your forehead, there is no Leah written on your forehead. And this person asks you to sit next to them, you know. And they share with you their cup of coffee. Yeah. And they tell you their story. How long does this letter need to be?
It's 250 words.
That's it? That's all you can, yeah, that's all you need to do. Make it juicy, you know? Like when you watch a movie and all of a sudden you begin to cry, you know. Or listen to the dream speech of Martin Luther King Jr., even though it's not that great, but nevertheless, I mean, he put some emotions in it and you feel. The point I'm trying to make ultimately is make the committee feel. Don't dazzle them with the way you think. That means nothing. Make them feel. You know, and once in a while, just throw out Plato and Jesus Christ and Mahatma Gandhi. And remember, it doesn't need to be real or true. Just make things up.
If I wasn't so much in pain, that would be so funny.
If what?
If I wasn't in pain, so much that would be so funny because that's
You're-
how you get through life.
You're in
Making
pain?
shit up.
What kind of pain are you in? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget.
Okay.
Anyone else with anything? Jordan? Yeah.
Do you have a plan if you maybe develop dementia? Because you mentioned it before.
Do I have a plan if I... What was your name again? What was your name, Madison? Do I have a plan just in case I begin to forget things? Who are you? Oh, that's right, dementia. Nothing. Why do you ask such All right.
You could finish that.
I don't know if I ever told you the story or not. It's about two people in prison in a tiny little room. One younger, one older, one rich, one very poor. And the rich guy spent his life just buying houses, buying cars. Doesn't really have much experience, but the poor guy, he's been around and he has a wealth of experience and a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. So the rich guy becomes envious of him and says, you know, I have all this money, but my life amounts to nothing. This guy has no money, but look at the way he lived his life. Beautiful. You know, it's kind of like Henry David Thoreau. Not a big house, no car, no internet, and yet he is immortal despite having nothing. And so the rich guy looks at this poor guy and says to him, let me buy your stories. And with the money I give you, you can send it to your parents, you can send it to your wife, to your kids. But there's a catch. Once you sell me a story, it'll be erased from your memory. It's as if you never experienced it. The guy says, okay, you know, because I don't want my parents to live in poverty, or my son or my daughter, whatever. So every morning when they wake up, the rich guy buys a story. And the poor guy loses the story. After 2, 3, 4, 5 months, or days, or weeks, or years, they wake up again. The poor guy has no stories left. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know what he is. The stories made him who he was. The stories gave him identity, purpose, past, meaning. Without the stories, he was nothing. And so out of confusion and frustration, he hanged himself and died. It's really difficult losing yourself. You know, I don't know what your romantic status is, but let's just assume that you have a boyfriend. And let's just assume that you're hetero. And you guys have been together for a long, long time, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, that's a lot of stories you have with this man, Madison. A lot of stories. You know, you create your future because of him. You know. And imagine you go home and he says, I don't want to be with you anymore. You're not just losing a guy, you're losing future, you're losing past, you're losing memories that can no longer have a physical container. And you're not going to be able to sleep peacefully at night. You're not going to come to class. You'll be angry and you want to know why. And the answer is, there is no answer. He just doesn't want to be with you anymore. You know, we don't know why people get dementia. We don't know why people forget. You know, you would hope that human beings in their lifetime, they impose a lot of injustice on themselves and other people. And you would think that you get to a place in life where you remember all the things that you have done. And you be baptized by fire. Because you begin to think you'll have a good amount of regret. But in dementia, the truth is you will forget. And so the hell that was waiting for you, you no longer experience it. You know. And the point I'm trying to make, first of all, we don't really know how your brain turns into mush. We don't really know how stories are removed from you. And I don't even think it really matters. The only people who suffer are the people around you. You know, Keanu Reeves was being interviewed by Stephen Colbert some time ago. Take care. You know, and when he sat down, the first question that Colbert asked him was, what happens to us when we die? And Reeves looks at him and says, those who love us will miss us. I mean, that's a profound answer. He doesn't talk about reincarnation. He doesn't talk about heaven, hell, purgatory. He doesn't talk about the history of Egypt. He basically says, those who love us will miss us. It's a statement that not even Jesus was profound enough to say. That's a genius statement. You know? And I think if I was to suffer from dementia, my kids will suffer, my wife will suffer. If my parents are alive, and I hope they're not, so they don't have to see and go through this, if they're alive, they will suffer. And then, of course, not only will people suffer physically because they have to take care of me, but they also will suffer emotionally. But more importantly these days, after a while, because the problem is, when someone gets sick, you care for them initially. But after a while, it just gets to be too much. All of us in this class have a certain amount of capacity to care, to be compassionate, to be forgiving. After a while, it just overwhelms you. And you know, anyone who's had a parent who was hooked to tubes, you love your parent, but there are moments you say to yourself and you say to God, just kill him. End their suffering. It's too much. There comes a point where my wife will not be able to take care of me, and nor will my kids. They have their own lives. So you know what they need to do? They need to sell things to put me in a place so that strangers can take care of me. And now they suffer financially. Yeah. The best thing I can do to create enough guilt within the psyche of my family, so just in case I get sick with whatever, instead of them tossing me in the trash the following day, guilt will jump in and say, no, 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 your husband, your dad, your uncle, take care of him.
You don't think love is enough?
Love? Oh no, are you kidding? Love is never enough for any fucking thing. Love is stupid. You know, it's great that you have passion. But life is not about passion. Life is about politics. Well, you think I take out the trash because I love my wife?
Yes.
No.
Oh, why?
I like my house to be clean.
You can't be like that. I'm asking a question.
When I was 18, I lived in Sacramento. It's like 7, 8 at night. And I'm walking and there is this girl, very, very attractive. And she just looks at me, where are you going? I'm sorry, do I know you? No, I'm just asking where you're going. I'm just going to go play music. Can I follow you? Yeah, it's dark. I couldn't see your face, but you know, it was the 1980s. People were much more decent. It's not like today, you know, where you're just afraid to open the door. So, and then, you know, lights are on. And said, my God, she's like 10 times Angelina Jolie. She was gorgeous. And so we hung out for a couple of days, and then I said, so what do you do? You know, you go to school? No, I dropped out. So what do you do? I'm an escort. And you know, I didn't know what that meant. What does that mean? What do you mean escort? You like open doors for people? Says, no, I'm an escort. I have no idea what that means. Says, well, you know, people pay me and I do A, B, C, D. I said, well, that's not really a complete sentence. I don't know what A, B, C, D is. Are you telling me you know the alphabets? Says, no, you know, different tasks will cost, you know, a different amount. What she was telling me is that she gives her body to others for money. Now, when you're young and stupid like me, you make all these judgments. Oh, your body is this, and you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. I get to know her a little bit, and I realize she has a daughter. Her father was abusive, her mother was a drug addict. One day she looks herself in the mirror and she says, you know what? Politicians are not going to take care of me. God is not going to come down to save me. I can't provide for my kid, and I can't give my kid a good life by working at McDonald's. And in the 1980s, you know what the minimum wage was? Like $1. When I got a raise at Church's Fried Chicken, it was a dime. It went up to $2.10. But true, the rent was only, $200. And so as she tells me all these stories, I realized what an insightful and clever young woman she was. She needs to provide. And she was very protective of her body. And she was very protective of the sort of customers she would get. And I said, well, how long are you going to do this? I'm going to save my money to buy myself and my child a house. Beautiful. And once I have a house and once I have enough savings, I'm going to quit this job. Just going to go to school. Now, whether or not that story came true for her, I don't know, because we lost touch. But the point I'm trying to make is nothing. Life is tough. Lavelle?
You said that it's better to build people's emotions than not do that. You said like that produce a better outcome in terms of dealing with people with their emotions.
آتش است این بانگ نایون نیست باد هر که این آتش ندارد نیست باد. That it's a tiny little line by Rumi that when you hear the sound of the reed flute, you have to breathe into it and this sound comes out. And it says that don't think it's just air, it's fire. I haven't really said much, but that's the translation of the line. But let me unpack this a little. Imagine today you go to Lucky's in Montclair, and just in case you had forgotten, you look yourself in the rear view mirror and you realize you're black. And you look around, it's Montclair, and it's predominantly white. But you don't care about those things, at least not yet. You walk into the store, and people begin to look at you. And then as you're putting things in your basket, the white security officer comes to you and says, can you unzip your bag? Or maybe he'll say, can you unzip your pants? I don't really know which one these days. And you say, for what? I think you put something in your bag. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. And you realize that the security guard came to you not because you actually put anything, but because of your skin color. He doesn't like you. But you're a civilized human being. You know how pieces of shit function. You're a very stoic person. You say, I'm going to be in charge of my own emotions. I'm not going to give in to the stupidity of others. Kind of like James Baldwin. This guy is ignorant, uneducated. I'm not going to be like him. You unzip the bag and you drive home. And as you're driving home, anger overtakes you. 21st century. You're just walking through the store. And as you think about the experience, anger begins to have a snowball effect. It was very small. Now it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. As it gets bigger, it takes more space inside you. It's like right now you're sitting in this class, you don't think about your dad. But then I say something, it triggers you. This memory file opens. You begin to read the first line, then the second line, then the third line. Before you know it, you're not even listening to what anybody's saying in this class. It's you and your father who lived like 20 years ago. And you're pissed off. And one of the things you realize is that trauma or anger or any negative emotion, when you begin to think about it, okay, you begin to produce anger inside you to the point of it exploding. Now, you go home and there is your companion. Your companion looks at you and says, hello. Your companion looks at you and says, why do you look this way? And you say, don't talk to me. What you really want to do is first process the experience, the injustice you suffered, and you want someone to talk to. It's too much. And you sit and you talk to your girlfriend or boyfriend or a dog or a cat. And as they're listening to you, they feel all these emotions coming their way, you know, and they're being infected. And then you look at them and you say, you know, it's just not air you're hearing. You're hearing history. You're hearing racism. You're hearing injustice. You're hearing not being educated. And what you realize is that language can have two functions. It can be spoken by some, and those words will only appeal to your intellect. Or you can speak it in a way that has a lot of passion. Now that is fire. If she sits and writes this essay and she wants to show off how intellectual she is, you know, the people sitting in this committee at Reed School, they have read books. These people have read essays. They have probably written books themselves. They're in the classroom. They think, right? But what she needs to understand, someone like me, as you become consumed with thinking and reading and talking, you will lose some very, 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 very important components. And ask some of our friends in this classroom will tell you, Tiara will tell you, when you spend enough time in any relationship, you will no longer be able to feel. She is going to be dealing with a committee that's been in education for the past like 10 to 15 years. These are not people who feel. These are people who think. She needs to remind them what feeling looks like and feels like. That's her job. Anything short of that, she won't be admitted. How's your woman? Everything's good? Good job. Anything, Jay?
Yeah. Do people look for instances to get emotional about things? Like, let me give you an example. Yesterday, somebody hit my car. It was nothing. It barely scratched it, and I was able to clean it up and make it look like nothing ever happened. Right. So I wasn't very angry because it was very minor, and it hit my bumper that was already messed up. But then I come home, and my mother is very upset, and she's pointing to things on the bumper that are broken that were already broken. And she's saying, look at that, so you should be angrier, telling me to be angrier.
Yeah.
Because, so she's trying to be angry by proxy for me. What's up with that? Is that just because she's my mother, or?
Well, first of all, you have no idea how she was before you got home.
That's true.
Maybe something else rattled her. That's number one. Second, maybe she sees you as just being passive, and she wants you to stand up once in a while and, you know, seek justice. You know, there are a couple of things. if you're able to process things intellectually, you have a lot of power over yourself. That power allows you control. That power allows you predictability. In other words, you know how your future is going to turn out. In emotions, you lose power. In emotions, you lose control. And I think one of the reasons why you have Stoicism, you have Buddhism, is they kind of try in a very subtle way teach us the dangerousness of feeling too much and thinking too little. That if you were to kind of put your emotions through a rational process, it's best not to feel as much. Because then you have full, control over who and what you are and how your future is going to be. I mean, it's something that most of us in this class understand in relationships. Your companion makes you angry sometimes. And instinctually, you want to just kind of fight back. But with some experience under your belt, you say, you know what, I think I'm just going to go for a walk, And then after like 5, 6, 7, 10 hours of walking, you realize how silly the whole thing is, including the relationship itself. And then you come back, your wife or your companion says, well, that was really stupid what you said. You say, yeah, you're right, I was. You know what, I'm stupid. Can we have some pizza now? This doesn't make any sense. You're supposed to be angry. I am angry. Well, I can't feel your anger. No, trust me, I am angry. But you realize you're not being angry enough, pisses off your companion. And the other thing is, being an emotional junkie is actually fun. If you look at the movies and if you look at the shorts, YouTubes that you and I usually watch, it's not going to be an attention grabber if it's a long narrative and you have to connect the dots together. The moment the movie opens up, it's like mass murder. You say, what the hell happened here? It's something profoundly erotic or something profoundly violent. So once the emotional aspect of you gets clicked, you're done for it. Then it takes you some time, and you sit back and you say, really, I was so stupid. If, on the other hand, you have used your intellect to learn how to play the piano, and at a certain point you say, I just want to feel what I am playing. Maybe you should turn off the lights, light some candles. Think about your grandfather who passed and you loved him. Maybe bring out his picture, look at it. Maybe read some of the stuff that he wrote in his journals. And now that you've become a good, healthy emotional junkie because you're thinking and feeling about someone you actually adored, now you sit and you play. Now that is a good use of emotions. On the piano, that's immaculate. Lay. Hey.
Do people take more pride, like in?
Pride as in like gay?
No, pride as in like stubborn. Do people take more pride in like making other people's problems their own because they're not able to fix their own what's going on in their life? Like say for instance,
Like,
you told me that someone hit his car and I got more mad at him, like his mom did. Do you feel like that?
can you just use me and you?
No.
Because that's
the story is more.
yeah, but my mind doesn't work that way. That's my problem.
All right, so me and you, right?
I don't like that scenario.
What?
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So I cook you some dinner, right? And I use like this special chili sauce, but you already told me you do not like spicy stuff.
Okay.
And I still cook it for you. And then all of a sudden, like you get mad, and I'm sitting at the dinner table, but then I start crying.
Because of the chili?
Yeah, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't like the food, and I should never cook.
Oh, you forgot.
Yeah, but I already know that I don't like spicy stuff. So if you already told me that.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You don't like spicy food. I don't like spicy food. You make food and you put spice in it?
Yeah.
You just fucked up. That story makes no sense.
Okay, so I'm gonna use another one.
Yeah, use another one because that story really sucked.
Okay, say me and you are friends, right? EJ stole your wallet. And you tell me about the wallet getting stolen. you're like, okay, I'm not worried about it. I canceled my ID, I canceled my credit cards, everything. But I'm like, no, you need to call the police. You need to press charges on him. You need to make him feel the consequence of taking your wallet because he doesn't need to go around taking people's wallet. That's not cool. And you're like, no, it's okay. It's all right. If I feel more passionate about the situation, do you think that's because somebody stole my wallet and I didn't press them? And I want you to press somebody because why? Do you get it now?
Yeah, I get it now.
I'm just saying. Chili, that was stupid.
Yeah, that was. But this is much better. You have improved. This is like a much improved lay. Now look.
Like, do you think that other people? Do you think
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those of us in the hello, Abby. Those of us who have kids will tell you. So my wife and I are very different in our approach to kids. Right? So when, let's say I get a call from my kid's school, my wife is going to go nuts. Why this? Why that? Why did you get an F? I look at my life and I say, you know what? I got Fs all over the place. You should see my transcript. I kid you not. In high school, I got a 0.000. And at the time, what was that movie with John Belushi that came out? Animal House, where he gets called to the principal's office and he's told that he has the lowest GPA in school's history, which was 0.00001. And while we were watching the movie in the theater, I looked at my brother and said, no, I got 0.0000. So when we go and meet with teachers, my wife pays attention, she takes notes. And I said, these are kids. Kids are not supposed to be studious unless there's just something wrong with them. You know, kids are supposed to like create chaos. They're supposed to like, while the teacher is talking, like fart in the middle of the class. That's what kids do. They should like pick up the chair and throw it at the teacher. That's what kids do. I mean, not like that, but that's what kids do. So, is it because my wife is like crazy? No. I think people put their energy and emphasis on things that they care for and worry them, you know. Let me give you another example. It's something that has always troubled me, which is we have a neighbor, you know. And she comes over when she was very, very young. And I say, so what's your name? Well, you know, I'm a they. What do you mean you're a they? I'm a they. What do you mean you're they? I'm a he, she, it, they, it, what, did, that, dot. All these things. I said, what do you mean by that? She says, well, you know, I was in the classroom and they were introducing all these pronouns. And I realized I like the word they. So I want to go by they. And you realize something really interesting, that you live in a culture that creates a good amount of confusion. And you may not be confused at all. I mean, you may know that what you want to drink right now is water. But you have a set of advertisement blitzing you that you have to have coffee or Kool-Aid or whatever. And all of a sudden you walk around saying, well, did I really want water or should I drink Pepsi? Now you were sure wanting water, but all of a sudden everything about you has changed. Now, culture itself creates a good amount of anxiety. Okay. Now, what you want to do is you want to play the psychologist part. In other words, you put spices in the food because of your past, maybe, because you hate me, maybe, because the relationship is not going well. The truth is you just forgot. Or the truth is maybe you just want to explore. You know, people are not evil, really. We are forced just to be mean once in a while. And what stands out for the most part is our meanness. You know, I was coming to school at 4 a.m. a few years ago, and this car just rammed into me. I mean, really hard. And my car went like 360 times. But I woke up and said, you know what, I just want to go to my office and write. And, you know, I had enough money in the bank. I don't give a shit about the car. My job was not to, you know, fix the car or take care of the car. I just wanted to come to school and just write. The other person just stopped, said, fuck this, I'm not wasting my time for the next like 3 hours for the police to come at 4 in the morning. Just went to school, you know. For the most part, it really has to do with what you care for. The more you care, the more anxious you're going to be. The less you care, the less you're going to give a shit. How are you? Can I tell a story? It's a stupid story, and it doesn't really mean anything. There was this king. People just loved him, you know, the way they loved Donald Trump. But they found him to get sadder and sadder as the days go by, and they felt really bad that their king had lost his ability to smile. So they begin to look for remedies, to no avail. Nothing helps. And so one day someone tells, you know, a committee of people that there is this old man who lives in the cemetery. And if you know anything about the Middle East, especially the Persian world, that's what we do. That when you lose someone, or when you realize that life is not really worth that much, you go to the cemetery, you put up a tent, and you live there. And people come and pay you a visit because you've gained some wisdom. So 20 people walk into the cemetery, they find this man and say, you know, we have this king, beautiful man, he has a wonderful soul, but he no longer smiles, he no longer laughs, he's always sad. And without looking at these people, he says to them, the king wears a ring on his right hand, bring it to me. Very strange request, but so they go to the king, take the ring, give it to this old man, and the man grabs the ring and inscribes on the stone, this too shall pass. Go give this back to the king. And they give this ring back to the king. He puts it in his finger, and he's still very gloomy. By chance, he looks down, he reads what's written on the stone, and he begins to have a belly laugh. This too shall pass. Yeah. Anyone else with anything?
How much control do you have over what you perceive? Do you have any control over how people perceive?
You know, as the years go by, I become a shittier and a shittier human being. I kid you not. My office door was open for the past 27 years. Come at 4, it's open. I'll be very hospitable, make you tea, make you coffee. I'll give you my time, my energy. But as the years pass by, I find myself having become a bit more arrogant. And in my arrogance, my expectation has gone up. It's not enough for you to come to my office. I need a question. It's not enough for you to ask just any question. I need a question that I like. It's not enough for you to just come to my office once in a while. You need to be there all the time. It's not enough for you to be inspired. I need you to major in philosophy. It's not enough for you to major in philosophy. You need to major in a philosophy that I enjoy. And when you become like that, you realize that there are less and less people in your circle. Now, do I have valid reasons? I can justify it for myself, and the answer is yes. Does that make you an open, generous human being? The answer is no. The truth is, everybody stands at a different stage in life. You know, there came a point that where many years ago, I emailed John Beam. I said, listen, John, you send me like 30 football players in my class, and they suck. They make a lot of noise, they don't pay attention, and I put a lot of energy, and I don't want my life to be wasted like that. I don't want to have your athletes anymore. And if they come to my class, and if they misbehave and not do work, I will fail them. And John had assumed that I was just joking, you know. And then I failed like 30 of them. Never again did I have any of these athletes in my classes, you know. And of course, they're very fond of calling themselves student athletes. You know, I don't know what they are, but they're not students. I mean, no one really is a student. And the point I'm trying to make is this. I think sometimes it's very, very natural for you to come to realize that, you know, there is a value to your body. You know, and if you want to share your body with someone, you better goddamn have some high expectations of the people you want to lay with. They need to be decent. They need to be civilized. They need to have money. They need to be solid. They can't be whiners. You know, if you want to spend $500 buying a PlayStation for your kid, he needs to fucking fix his bed. You know, and is it true as you evolve, you become a bit more greedy for specific things? Absolutely. You know, at your age, you don't want to just take classes just to take classes. You want to take classes that force you to feel certain things, to remember certain things, you know, so you can make a different, I think, path for your life. That greed is a good greed you expect from instructors, you know. Now, the more you expect and the more refined your expectations, the less people are able to fulfill them, which means that the more you're going to feel betrayed. I mean, if, for example, you have an issue and someone tells you there is this therapist and he's really, really good, I mean, you have put them up here, you know. I remember we had a gathering many, many years ago at this woman's house, Helen. She was 90 or 89 when I met her. She was in Nevada City. She had this 20-acre property, pavilion, in the middle of the forest, beautiful place. And so my wife said, you know what, let's advertise this gathering. I said, okay, you want to do it, fine. You know. And so the first night, about, I think, 20, 25 people showed up. It was a 2-day event. And so they come in there and they hear me speak. And I'm combative. I don't give a shit who you are, you know. If I hear that you're saying something stupid, I'll just tell them to you. So the second day, nobody showed up except the students from Laney and Sierra College and a few from Folsom, you know. And the point I'm trying to make is initially you have this image of something. Then that image gets tested by you, okay? It either lives up to your expectation or it lives way, way down. If it lives way down, you say, you know what? I'm going to be stingy. I'm going to walk away. If it lives up, then you'll spend some more time with it. It's good to be greedy in the right way. Nothing wrong with that. You know, there is nothing wrong with the story I told you at the beginning of this class about that young woman who was an escort. You know, it's good to be greedy for customers that are willing to pay $1,000 an hour. So you can, you know, have a good savings account after like 5 years so you can buy a house, a mansion for yourself and your daughter. Nothing wrong with that. And then quit. You come to realize certain weaknesses in society, take advantage of it. I'm not, by the way, encouraging you guys to go out there and show skin. I'm just saying that there was a story some years ago. Yeah. Yes, Lay. Yeah. Ali. What'd she say? Thank God for that, yeah.
Right? I had a conversation with my brother a couple of days ago, and I was telling him, like I have like this fear of like losing time or like our money at a time, and like
Losing what?
losing time,
Losing time.
and like oh, I'm behind, like a year, but like I got here by like I shouldn't pass out here, and like I feel like I'm losing time. I should go to the next step right now, and always tell me that's stupid. Don't feel like you're losing time if you're not. But like, how do you combat that fear? Like, how do you deal
You don't need to combat it. It's a good fear. Number one, your father's a lawyer. Your mom went to, is it Haas at Berkeley? So she's also a very high achiever. You have two parents who are well established in life. They work really, really hard. For them, taking time for leisure, it just doesn't exist. I remember your mom being in my class many, many decades ago saying, your father comes home and she tells the kids, just leave him alone for about 10, 15 minutes. Let him vent in the closet somewhere, then he'll come down and be a father and a husband, So leisure time for your parents did not really exist because they were always on the go. Part of who and what you are really has to do with the way your parents are. Even in the absence of that, the truth is it's always good to be very, very aware of time because it moves so fast. I mean, I never thought I'd be 62. I never imagined I have a triple bypass. It just happens. Look at Devontae. He thought that he goes to school, high school, he graduates, he can just take some time off, have a good time with life, discover this, discover that, explore this, explore that. One day he wakes up and said, what the hell happened to time? When did I get to be 30?
What is he talking about? Y'all are young. What?
You're not young, be quiet. And then he says, you know what, I need to get my shit together. It's not a personal attack, man. We're talking about time. And so you should look at the people in this classroom and you should kind of intuit their mistakes. Mistakes they learn from. There is nothing wrong with sinning as long as you learn from it, because sin becomes the background of a good amount of wisdom and insight, And so you say, well, if I was to take a year off, then that may lead me to take another year off and then another year off, And life has a way of just sucking the life out of you. And before you know it, like 25, and you're walking around pregnant. I mean, that would suck. I mean, your father would be upset. Your mom would be angry. Can I just give you a piece of advice from like an immigrant? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Number one, I know some of you came in late and some of you have not turned in work. Turn in work. Be quiet. Turn in work. Whatever work you turn in, just turn them in. Get a C or better and pass. Be done with Laney ASAP and apply to a big school, good school. Stanford, Yale, and East Bay, yes. Just in case you get rejected by the Godzilla of a school, you can go to Mouse, East Bay. All right? You don't need leisure. You don't deserve leisure. You're not worthy of leisure. Right now, you're young. You have energy. Focus on school. 5 years. About 7 years. In 7 years' time, you'll be 26. When you walk away from school altogether, you will have a master's, if not a PhD, from a good school. If you want to go fuck around, go fuck around. When you come back, after you learn some lessons, you come back with power. It's always good to walk back to life with power in hand. You know, the only thing you are rich with right now is imagination. Life will prove you wrong. And when you walk back into life, you realize you're 30, okay? And God forbid you may be married, God forbid some more, you may have kids, and now you want to, and you know that 1 bedroom is not going to suffice in life. Okay? Walk back to life with power. If your parents have money, take their money and build yourself a coffee shop. That's power. You know? But never walk into any relationship being poor. You'll be devastated. Yes.
So about the work that everyone is already trying.
What work? Oh, yeah.
Getting work. Are you going to grade it today? Some people can see
Today? No, I'm not going to grade today. I have better things to do with my time.
I mean, but I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to pass. If you have a
What grade do you want?
Huh?
What grade do you want?
A.
No. No A. I'm just not going to give you an A.
Okay, what about
I don't like your beanie.
What about a B? Next week you don't got to see the B. Okay.
I actually like it. A B? You want a B?
Yeah. Feel like I
It's,
All right.
yeah,
Coffee.
it's, I need like, no, do not. No.
Coffee, tea. You like tea?
No tea. Just wait. You need to go to Costco.
Yep.
The coffee, you guys listening? Take notes. This is the most important thing you need to take notes on.
What you would like?
Use it possible.
You want my Costco card?
What do you want from Costco?
I'm just kidding. I don't need anything. Just $150 will be good.
No.
100?
That's bribery. That's a whole different.
Coffee is bribery.
But it's not financial bribery. That's like a gift, a present. Money.
Oh, you want to give me a gift?
Yeah.
But why didn't you say so?
Yeah. What's a?
Yes.
I was just gonna say, like in the lectures, like in the future, once you have a lecture and stuff, it would probably help a little bit if you didn't necessarily like yell at me through the video. No shade, I know y'all thinking about it. Like, no cap. Like, if you didn't yell at me so much and like,
God damn it,
right?
Devon!
The music you can cut down just a teeny.
First of all-
I can hear you a little clearly, and then it would be no problems at all. I would be able to remember everything that you said verbatim. Other than that, I just keep getting like flashes of you yelling and stuff, and I was just like, oh my god.
You know why I do that? I will be with you until the day you die.
Damn right.
I'll never forget.
If this class was civilized, I'd be forgotten.
I said, Mom.
I literally got to listen with earphones. Like,
I apologize to all of you.
you're passionate. You're passionate. We like that.
It's fine. It helped me stay up in that.
I told a lot of people a lot of stuff when you're recording.
Well,
Telling them, listen, please
Very smart
the,
man.
the only reason we have these recordings is because of my kids. And because I realize that I'm going to die soon. And it should be something that would remember me by. That's all. It wasn't really meant for anything else.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're very kind. Huh?
They listen.
No. Are you kidding? No. No. Kids. No, your kids never listen to your parents. I mean, kids never listen to parents because the relationship is not about that. And it can be about that. Kids don't respect their parents in a way that's conducive to learning. Kids don't fear their parents in a way that's conducive to learning. Kids just suck, period. And time needs to pass. I mean, a lot of time needs to pass until you realize that, your parents were really wise. So it takes time for all of us. So for those of you who have been traumatized by my screaming, and my apologies. I'll see you Thursday. Have a good day. Stay safe. If you're taking evening classes, walk to your car with someone. Never walk alone. Okay.
The security guard needs to get to walk.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.